The key to finding great stocks before everyone else is understanding a company's products, not just their profits. Massive growth happens when a company has the perfect product for a new or quickly growing market. Earnings just tell you how it's going. Tesla made people rich back when they conquered the electric vehicle market. Nvidia is making people rich right now as their AI chips dominate data centers. And in this episode, I'll highlight a few stocks in a different market that's growing so fast that it won't matter which company comes out on top. That's the best way to get rich without getting lucky. Your time is valuable, so let's get right into it. First things first, I'm not here to keep you hostage. Here's everything I'm going to talk about. The massive market rally in tech stocks and where we are in the cycle right now, how these technologies are going to produce a lot more data in the world and the challenges that come with it, why that means cybersecurity is a market worth paying attention to, and of course, which cybersecurity stocks are worth watching as a result. Alright, let's dive right into this massive market rally for tech stocks. I'm going to play a few quick clips from CNBC that tell the real story in as little time as possible, and I'll share some great charts and stats for additional context as we go. Buckle up because we're going to move fast.
In my opinion, the new tech bull market has begun. And of course, right now at the top of the mountain is, of course, Microsoft. But you look at what AWS is doing, that's a huge monetization opportunity for them. And I believe right now that's the golden goose. That's what this is going after. And we think it's $1 trillion of spend over the next decade. It's going to hit the shores of tech.
Enterprise tech only or consumer tech too?
Well, I think enterprise is 8 to 10x the opportunity right now of consumer tech. Now, when you look at consumer tech, I think that ultimately is the latter part where we're going to really see the Googles, the Metas, the other from a consumer advertising perspective. Not just use cases, but what the suppliers are talking about. You look through the supply chain, I think it all starts with chips. And I think what we're really seeing is right now an underestimation of what the demand looks like from the chip sector and from software.
This is such a powerful observation by Dan Ives. The stock market has seen this pattern play out before. Here's a chart from Morgan Stanley, looking at how different kinds of stocks performed during the rise of the mobile internet. They say that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Wait, have I said that before? This chart can help reveal new winners in this next era of generative AI and mixed reality. And like Dan pointed out, consumer services like Google, Amazon, and Meta platforms performed the best as the mobile internet took off, but they were the last part of the value chain to go up in the first place. That's because they run in data centers or on edge devices. And before edge devices and data centers made big moves of their own, chip companies had to produce the processors that powered them. That's the part of this new era of computing that we're in right now, and why chip companies like Nvidia and AMD saw their stocks rise by triple digits over the last year, and why trillion-dollar cloud service providers like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are all on the rise as well. And I have great news for anyone who thinks that they already missed the boat on this part of the tech cycle. The rise of the mobile internet took a long time. This chart starts in 2010, but the first iPhone came out in 2007 and Apple's App Store launched in 2008. It took 3 years for the iPhone to disrupt BlackBerry, go mainstream, and kick off the era of mobile computing. So even though the first wave of next generation devices are coming out, like the Humane AI Pin, the Rabbit R1, or the Apple Vision Pro, that marks the start of this multi-year market cycle, not the end. There's no need to rush into anything without doing your research. And what Dan Ives said next is what made me research cybersecurity and make this video in the first place, because I'm trying to get rich without getting lucky. Here, let me show you what he said.
I'm trying to understand this use case thing, though. I mean, all right, we co-pilots out there, we can get a sense for that. And then there's this idea that there are going to be a lot of other tools shared by the big players for smaller enterprises. But what are you talking about? Are you saying use cases from a lot of companies for their customers, or are you talking about Microsoft providing all sorts of stuff into the enterprise?
Yeah, it's use case. I think nail on the head. It's use cases for that companies we're talking across verticals, from life sciences, pharmaceutical, financials, government, where they're now seeing the use cases, clear ROI. Now they're building it. Where are they building it? On Microsoft, on AWS, on Google, on GCP. And that's why what we're starting to see right now in earnings season is you're starting to see the next phase of that. It's not just NVIDIA. Now you're seeing Microsoft, Datadog, Palantir. I ultimately believe Snowflake, and I think many other Salesforce included.
Yeah.
We've done survey with, 670 enterprises. 80% of them said that they plan to aggressively spend on AI companies in 2024. We think it could be up to 8 to 10% of budgets from less than 1% today.
So enterprises in every market are aggressively investing in AI, including the life sciences, pharmaceuticals, financials, and even governments. It turns out these are all highly regulated industries that are using tons of brand new AI tools and copilots to collect, analyze, and even generate a lot more sensitive data. See where I'm going with this? Data security is about to become a serious issue across every single industry for companies and consumers. Heck, even cars today are basically computers on wheels. But did you know that they're selling your personal information? Seriously. A study by the Mozilla Foundation found that every single automaker collects way more data than necessary through their phone apps, and 76% of them sell it to online data brokers. If you're getting more spam phone calls, texts, or emails lately, that could be why. That's why I signed up for Delete Me, the sponsor of this video. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that will remove your personal information from hundreds of data brokers. You just sign up, enter your information, and let their experts get to work. After 7 days, you'll get a privacy report that shows you what they've removed so far. I just got my second privacy report, and Delete Me found 38 new data brokers with over 250 more pieces of my personal information. Not just my name and address, but my fiance and my mom too. And I love that after they remove your information, they'll rescan these websites regularly. You even get your own privacy advisor if you want to talk to a real person, and make a custom removal request. If you care about your data and your family's privacy, you can get 20% off any consumer plan with my code SYMBOL20 at joindeleteme.com/symbol20, which I'll also link for you below. And a big thank you to Delete Me for supporting the channel and keeping my family's data safe. Alright, every company that Dan Ives called out knows how to secure huge amounts of sensitive data for consumers, companies, and even governments, but Microsoft, Palantir, and Snowflake are not cybersecurity companies. So here's one more quick CNBC clip that's jam-packed with value to point us in the right direction.
This turned out to be the third best performing stock in the NASDAQ 100, behind only Meta and Nvidia. And I don't even think many other stocks were close. It went up almost 150% this year. And that's purely on fundamental growth. The thing about cybersecurity that I think everyone needs to understand, it is the guaranteed secular bull market of the next 10 years. It's not that these companies can't have softer quarters here and there. It's that the longer-term tailwind for anything to do with cybersecurity is virtually written and enshrined into law. There are now regulatory requirements for publicly traded companies to announce material breaches within 4 days. What constitutes a material breach? Well, I'll put it to you this way. I dare you not to report it. So that's the backdrop. And if we think AI is a big deal, and we think the continued migration to the cloud is a big deal, and all of these other exciting things like virtual reality and augmented reality and machine learning and every buzzword you could think of, you can't do any of it if you can't secure data and if your employees and customers can't access a network securely. You're wasting your time. So I think the story is still young. I think the TAM here, McKinsey says, could be $2 trillion in the coming years. Just to put that into context, it's under $200 billion for 2023. So I want to be long cybersecurity for the remainder of the decade, and Crowdstrike is the way I want to play it.
All right, now we're cruising. The global cybersecurity market is expected to more than double in size over the next 9 years, which is a compound annual growth rate of 11% per year. But the global cloud security market is expected to 6x over that same period, which means it'll grow around twice as fast. I'm showing you multiple charts here since cybersecurity is many different things, just like artificial intelligence is actually many different things. And as AI, mixed reality, and other new markets keep evolving, I think the cybersecurity industry will grow even faster than anyone predicts, because there will be new kinds of devices, apps, and data that need securing, new kinds of hacking techniques, new malware, new rules and regulations for data security, and probably just way more cyber threats in general. I should also point out that I'm no cybersecurity expert, so I looked for different market maps to help me understand the space, at least at a high level. And things got pretty overwhelming pretty fast, since there are over 3,500 different cybersecurity vendors out there, and the largest ones only have around a 4% share of the market. That is, until I came across this market map by Francis, who goes by Investee Analyst on X and runs a great Substack called the Software Analyst Newsletter, which I'll also link for you below. Besides being easy on the eyes, what I like about this market map is that Francis shows how he built it using first principles instead of using industry jargon. Here, let me walk you through it. Modern enterprises consist of three things: people, software, and hardware. These things are all connected by a network that also stores the company's data, which is usually the thing that hackers and other bad actors are after. And there are different kinds of cybersecurity companies that secure different parts of an enterprise in different ways. Access management and authentication, for example, is about ensuring that only the right people can move around different parts of a company's network. Identity protection is about protecting individuals from having their information get stolen. That's where Delete Me fits in, but for your personal data and on the open web, instead of in a company-specific network. Endpoint protection is about securing laptops, tablets, and phones, but not necessarily their users. So here are what different cybersecurity companies specialize in according to this framework. For example, Crowdstrike focuses on something called endpoint detection and response. They have a platform called Falcon that stops breaches and responds to any attacks that do manage to get through. Falcon has three parts. First, they have a lot of cloud-based modules that perform tasks like antivirus scans, managing firewalls, hunting down different cyber threats, and malware. Then there's their proprietary threat graph, which is an ontology that tracks the connections between people, mobile devices, workstations, data centers, and different pieces of cloud software in an organization. And then there's the Falcon Agent, which is a tiny piece of software that runs on every device to capture data and send it back to Crowdstrike for monitoring and analysis, keep their threat graph up to date, and of course, help decide when to run these different cybersecurity cloud modules behind the scenes. Crowdstrike is the market leader in endpoint detection and response. Gartner even ranks Crowdstrike above Microsoft, SentinelOne, Palo Alto Networks, and Fortinet, all of which are great companies. And what did I say at the very start of this episode? Massive growth happens when a company has the perfect product for new or quickly growing markets. CrowdStrike's stock has nearly tripled over the last year because they have the perfect products for securing data in these new, quickly growing markets. Zscaler is another cybersecurity company that's almost doubled in price over the last year. Zscaler focuses on only one thing: SASE, which stands for Secure Access Service Edge. Long story short, they're the biggest provider in something called cloud-based security gateways, which inspect people's web traffic for malware. Another cybersecurity company that I mentioned in my best stock portfolio for 2024 video is Palo Alto Networks, which I like even better because they had high earnings growth, a much broader range of endpoint, network, and cloud security solutions, and they're a market leader in the one cybersecurity word that I've actually heard before: firewalls. Did I mention that I'm not a cybersecurity expert? Alright, I know this video is a little long, but I wanted to be thorough because cybersecurity is such a big market, and it benefits from so many of the technologies that I focus on this channel, like AI, cloud computing, mixed reality, and of course edge devices. But since I know I'm lacking when it comes to cybersecurity, and a lot of these stocks are already running hot, I found a different investment that addresses both of those issues. And if you feel I've earned it, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. That really helps me out, and it lets me know to put out more deep dives like this. Thanks, and with that out of the way, let me show you exactly how I plan to get rich from this explosion in cybersecurity demand without getting lucky by picking stocks in a market that I'm not an expert in. I spent a lot of time looking for a fund that focuses purely on cybersecurity. I think thematic funds are a great way to get exposure to specific industries while offloading the research and the weighting of the stocks to a fund manager that ideally knows what they're doing. I landed on WCBR, which is the Wisdom Tree Cybersecurity ETF, for a few reasons. First, it has a small amount of stocks in it, so if there's a huge winner in there, it'll meaningfully impact the performance of the fund. I personally don't want to hold hundreds of stocks that I've never heard of before, and I already hold the NASDAQ. Second, it has the lowest expense ratio, so more of my money goes into the fund instead of towards its fees. And third, many of the pure-play cybersecurity companies sit at the top of this fund. CrowdStrike, 7.1%, SentinelOne and Zscaler, 6% each, Palo Alto Networks, Cloudflare, and Datadog, another 5% each. I specifically wanted to stay away from funds that have Cisco stock near the top, since I think that Cisco Systems is a great example of a legacy company that's already getting disrupted. I also didn't want a cybersecurity fund that holds stocks like Microsoft or Google near the top, since I already hold them individually and in the NASDAQ 100. So the Wisdom Tree Cybersecurity ETF ended up being the right fund for me. Let me know if you want me to do a deep dive on any of these companies. This is definitely an area of the market that I'm excited to learn more about, and I'd be happy to share what I find with you. After all, understanding the science behind the stocks is the best way to get rich without getting lucky. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is ticker symbol U. My name is Alex, reminding you that the best investment you can make is in you.